Hello, 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 everybody. Welcome to another episode of The Supply Cap. I'm not exactly sure what number this is. It's been a bit of a hiatus on the filming as we have been kind of forced out of it with NDAs. But as of 25, 30 minutes ago, that is officially lifted. If you guys were around, we were watching the PC Gamer stream where they finally officially announced and showcased the Celestial Armada for Stormgate. So with me today, I have my special guests, Theory and Albino. Please go ahead and introduce you guys yourself, starting with Theory
Hey everyone, Theory here. I am a professional Infernals player for Aftermath Esports.
and Albino.
Hello guys, my name's Albino. I am a Vanguard player for Aftermath Esports.
And currently, guys, what rank are you in on the leaderboards?
So I ended last season rank 4 or number 1 in North America on the leaderboards.
Sick. And then
Okay.
I finished number 5 globally on the leaderboard. Number 2 in NA behind I forget his name. I don't know who it was.
Yeah, some
but,
Sick
some
though,
scrub,
sick though.
some noob Vanguard, I think.
yeah, some washed kid.
Fuck
But
that
I was
guy.
the number 1 Infernals player.
Yeah, that's a good thing to mention. So going into next early access, then I'm guessing you two are going to be neck and neck trying to fight for that first in North America spot, then, eh?
Oh,
That's right.
100%.
Good.
Yeah,
Good to hear.
that's
what
right.
I like to
I have
hear.
to reclaim my glory.
You gotta hold on to that crown.
Yeah.
So yeah, as mentioned, we did just finish our watch party, watching the global release of the Celestial Armada. They finally officially announced the third faction for Stormgate. It's been under really well kept secret for quite some time, considering how many people in the playtest chats knew about it. No one leaked information, which was wildly surprising. I know there was a lot of speculation whether they were going to be able to do that because it was just so hard to police that sort of thing, but they did it. They didn't have anyone leak it. It was a great surprise to everyone that didn't have the chance to play in the most recent playtest. What was your guys' initial thoughts of the video? And we'll just jump right into what your thoughts are, Celestial as a whole.
The video was really sick. I really like the way they introduce the Celestials. They talk about kind of how they harness the power of light and darkness and go right into showing clips from gameplay of them battling it out. It was a really good presentation, a really good surprise. Shout out to the community for keeping this well kept secret for so long. I think it really worked out, and the receptions seems to be pretty good from all the comments and everything on YouTube.
I absolutely loved it. They also did use our gameplay footage
They
for
did.
the PC Gamer show. So that was super sick to see us.
Yeah.
And I absolutely loved how they revealed Celestials. It reminds me of old kind of Blizzard cinematics, because that's how I got into RTS. And it really gave me that nostalgic vibe, so I loved it so much.
Yeah, that was a great video to watch. I think
Yeah.
the voiceover work, the background music was great. The way they showed off and portrayed the races too was a really intriguing way to do it. It really kind of captured how Celestials play and what makes them unique. And yeah, even for like a 1 minute video, it really did just kind of stand out for me as a great way to go about it. And judging by everyone's reaction too, everyone's excited for how that went. I know everyone was hyped up for the anime cat girls, which isn't off the table yet, but not not quite where the direction they went for this one. So it was just great to see. Like I said, we had the chance to be in the Discord. There's about 67 to 70 people in the watch party there, just hanging out, tuning in, watching it live. It ended a lot faster than I thought it would, just because they revealed the game really early on into the stream, which was kind of nice for us because we had this content to film directly after. So freed up our schedule a little bit earlier than planned, which is great. But yeah, it was great just to see the community reception. Directly afterwards, they put up the announcement or the same video on YouTube, and the YouTube comments are very positive, which is great to see for especially how much we love this game. And shortly after that, they released the first Celestial gameplay video ever, which included Parting and Albino, which was a best of 3 series. Do you remember who won that series, Albino?
Not me. In
Not
fact,
you.
Parting
Okay.
did win that series
Yeah.
pretty brutally, but
Which is fair. I mean, I think Parting went what, like 298 wins and 20 losses on ladder or something crazy, like a 97% win rate. So
Yeah,
Yeah.
he's
yeah, that's
definitely
fair.
insane.
Yeah, I mean, there's no hard feelings about losing to that guy because I think everybody does, which is just we live in his world at this point.
Yeah,
That's
for
true.
reals.
Start in Stormgate 100%.
Yeah, 100%. Other than that, outside of Stormgate, he's a terrible gamer, but we'll let him have Stormgate. And I guess we'll give him battle aces too. He's kind of good at that game. We'll discuss that later.
Cool.
So the playtest is over at the moment. We're not able to play the game going into early access. But what was your guys' thought process or feelings towards actually being able to play the Celestial race and playing against it?
You want to go first, Albino?
Yeah, I'll go first. I remember the first time when we played Celestials, we had 7 Grandmaster StarCraft 2 players in a Discord call, and it took us 15 minutes to figure out how to build like a barracks, like the
Yeah,
basic, just one building. It took us 15 minutes to figure it out.
That
yeah,
was
But
legendary. And
yeah,
we had people popping in the Discord one by one, like, hey
how,
guys, like,
how do you
have you
build
figured out how to build
buildings?
a building yet? And Parting joins, yo, is this bug? How I
Yeah,
make units?
I think
And I forget who it was.
Probe made a build order because there's like a section of the Discord where you can post build orders, and his whole build order was press Q to build buildings. That was it. That was it.
yeah.
Yeah. And
That
then
was
as
a
soon
great
as we
first
figured
day.
out, oh, you have to press Q, then it was
Yeah,
super smooth from there. The race is crazy.
it's
It
definitely
is crazy.
crazy, but I think it is intuitive once you get into it, although it is
Hmm.
new. But
Do you
you have
feel
to
like the
get
learning curve is kind of just
yeah
like straight up for the first like game or two? Even learning how to build a
Yeah.
unit is like
yeah
crazy,
You're like,
crazy. But then
whoa.
once you get into it, you're like, oh, okay, this is how the race works or the faction works and how you play about it. Because yeah, I felt the same way when I jumped into it. I was shortly on after you guys, and thankfully you figured out all the hard parts, like how to build your first building. So I had some pro level coaching. But yeah, same thing. The first onset of gameplay when you first touch it is it's a pretty steep learning curve. And then playing against it, same thing. Like learning that the the main building can fly across the map. Like I know I played against Theory for my first game, just jumped into a game blindly, and he flew his building over to my third and started building units and buildings and stuff. And I thought I was getting cheesed. And I want to note that I won that game, so officially I'm 1-0 versus Theory, and I'm never going to play him again. So that's going to be my professional record forever. I'm the best player in North America, confirmed. But yeah, just having the chance to get our hands on it before it was revealed was a really unique experience. I think the faction has a lot of potential. When they say it's one of the most unique aspects or faction to an RTS game, but they're not kidding. It plays entirely different than any other faction you could ever pick up in an RTS game, which is really exciting to see what players like Parting will be able to do with it in the future. I know he's already innovated a lot of incredible things with the faction, so seeing what he does long term and others that pick up the game is going to be very exciting because I think the potential for just very outstanding gameplay is definitely there. So leading from that too, so you guys had the chance to play it. What was it like playing against it consistently on ladder? What do you guys feel like the overall consensus for the faction is after the playtest?
I think the Celestials have the most unique toolbox. There's so many playstyles that can kind of sprout from the tools they've been given.
Mm-hmm.
Because your main base can move. You can expand anywhere you want. You can expand in the corners, you can expand normally, you can expand at your opponent's expansions and be aggressive. There's so much opportunity for offensive, defensive, and very creative play. Um, and I just really like the warp in mechanics of Celestials.
Mm.
I gave this bill like 100 times yesterday at the PC or at the Gamers Collective. I forget what it's called.
The Gorilla Collective. Yeah.
Yeah. Um, where the Celestials have this armada in orbit, and they operate by teleporting the resources through collector nodes up to their armada, and then beaming down their buildings and units straight onto the battlefield anywhere without like a kind of worker construction system. And I think that's like super badass.
Yeah.
I'm like right now I'm like the poster Infernals, which I'm like super lucky to be in, really thankful. But I'm like tempted to jump ship just because of how cool this faction is, and because I'm a Protoss player
Right.
originally. it's a hard decision to make.
It is, and I think it's one of those decisions you can't really make until early access is here. We get tier 3 units. I think Gerald today said they're not going to be available day one of early access, but they'll be there in the early access phase. So I think there's going to be a lot of people playing around with all three factions to see which one really resonates with them. But how about you, Albina? How was your experience playing versus Celestials as a Vanguard player?
I think Celestials versus Vanguard has the opportunity to be the best matchup in the
Mm,
game because it really suits my playstyle how they play. They don't have like big, very tech heavy army units or big tanky, nothing does a lot of DPS, like just normal attacks, maybe some spells. So it's
yeah.
very much a game of harass. And
Mm,
can Vanguard stop the Celestial harass to get that big army and walk across the map? So I absolutely love that playstyle where blink couple vectors here, pick off a hedgehog, pick off some bobs. So I absolutely loved playing against Celestials.
yeah. Yeah, it
There's
does feel like a very busy race. You're always doing
yeah,
something. Yeah,
yeah, that matchup is very busy. Vanguard's always very busy,
right.
but I also liked how Celestials can kind of close the map very quickly. Because usually
Mm,
in the other matchups, it's all about fighting for map control. But instead, with Celestials, you have to fight their main base, which is sometimes fun, sometimes not always fun, but
yeah.
depends who's
At times
placing cannon.
obnoxious. Yeah.
Yeah, depends who's placing cannons in your natural. Against parting, it's
Yeah.
fun. Anyone else? A little obnoxious.
Yeah, no, there's definitely something to say about watching them fly their entire base towards your map or towards your base. You just know that, okay, these guys they're coming. You got to get prepared. Like you can see it coming from a mile away, but it's easier said than done to stop them once they're kind of chugging along towards your base. So yeah, I mean, thematically, they're really cool. They play amazingly. I think right now the balance of the game for the beta that we got to play in was actually really good. I'm really excited to see what changes they make going into early access. I know they've had some discussions of things they're looking to change. We won't know until we jump into it. July 30th, which is the official date for early access if you are a current tester, and then free to play for everybody is what they say August 13th.
13th? Yeah.
13th, yeah.
13th, yeah.
Yeah, so if you're watching this and you want to get your hands on the game a couple weeks early, you can go to their Steam page and purchase one of their packages that will get you into the game early. It'll get you a few other bonuses as well. I have to go through and check what those are, but definitely worth doing so to get your hands on the game before basically anybody else. Because as we know with an RTS game, especially if you're looking to be competitive, having that knowledge and experience before everyone else is just going to set yourself up leading into the official early access launch. So yeah, that was a great time for us. Like I had a lot of fun in that recent playtest. I know we all got a lot of games into it. We had the opportunity to play all three of the factions. We got to jump in there, play some 3 VAI, play one versus ones, and really get our teeth into what the full game is going to look like. There's obviously some iterations to come and some changes and adds and removals of certain things that we'll see over the course of the early access. But what's your overall opinion so far of Stormgate in a one versus one esports sort of aspect?
So from a 1v1 aspect for Stormgate, it's already got the like very in-depth strategy and a basis to be like one of the most complex RTS games as far as strategy goes. And I think one of the biggest dynamics, I've said this a lot already in a lot of videos and podcasts I've been in, but the map objectives and creeping mechanics are like insane. It's like StarCraft, but you add map objectives. So now we have a game where there's additional objectives on the map. It encourages players to get out there and fight over these objectives, bringing action right away. And it discourages turtling, which I absolutely really don't like in StarCraft. When basically as soon as you have the amount of bases you want, you either all in or you turtle.
Yeah.
And there's really no in between. There's no like middle ground in any pro StarCraft matches anymore. So I really like that about Stormgate, where we're fighting over creeps, we're getting buffs, and we're encouraged to battle it out and take over the map. And it also adds this whole new dynamic, which I think is going to be the most difficult for StarCraft 2 pros to pick up, is not only do they need a build order, but they need creeping routes mixed in with their regular strategies. So there's a whole another aspect to routing when it comes to maps and matchups.
Absolutely. And that changes up the dynamic of the game too, because you could have a build order and then say your build order includes whatever resources you get from a specific camp at this time, but then your opponent challenges you for those resources. You don't get them. It sets your build order behind a little bit, and it gives that, like you said, that desire to be on the map doing something. There's no benefit, or there's a lot less benefit than just turtling on 3 bases, building a death ball and a moving, because your opponent, if they take the entire map with creep and they're getting all these buffs and they're doing all this stuff, they're going to be significantly further ahead than if you just sit back, turtle on the base economy you're kind of given. So it does really force you, I guess not really force you, but it does entice you to be active on the map, which is exciting for both playing and spectating, because now you have a lot more of these smaller skirmishes. Whereas in, say, StarCraft, it's either you build up, have one big fight, whoever loses the game, or they just turtle up and then they focus on harassment, which is just kind of dropping mineral lines and trying to do damage where they can. Whereas this game, it feels a lot more small trades all over the map. Like Albino said too, you're a lot more active all over the map. You're running around with different units, you're doing different drops, you're taking creep camps, you're trying to deny creep camps, and it's a lot more of an active game, which is way more fun to play and way more fun to watch. So as we move into having the tier 3 units and trying to flesh out the game, I think it's going to be such an amazing spectator sport and an esport to play. There's going to be very little stagnation. Every game is going to feel different. You're going to have a lot of variety. Even if you do the same build order, they're going to play out almost differently every time, which is exciting on all fronts. So how about you, Albino? What's your thought process on the 1v1 esports side of things?
I think my personal favorite part about Stormgate being a competitive 1v1 is that, first of all, it is competitive and very in depth, but
Yep.
it gives newer players like myself, or like the new generation coming into gaming, to have a fresh start against legends like Parting.
Right.
Like,
Right.
I still lose, sure, but it's much closer than it'd be in StarCraft. StarCraft, I have no chance. In Stormgate, I actually win games. So
Right.
that's the most exciting thing for me. Is it's very daunting when I started playing StarCraft that Parting as is already world champion.
Yeah.
So it's hard to catch up to that level unless you're some god. We have a few in the StarCraft scene, but very few and far between. So I love that it's a fresh start for new generation, new players.
Yeah.
Everyone starts fresh, and I'm very excited to see. Because usually all the StarCraft players are the best right now, but we'll see if maybe people from other games or people who've never played RTSs come out and become very good players.
Yeah, and I feel like as we're all RTS players here, it's a really fun and very limited opportunity to get in there and figure out the game for the first time, right? Like Derek said, when the Celestials was first launched, they were in a call together. A bunch of top pro level people were trying to figure out how to build a building. Like that sort of thing. You're not going to get after early access, right? There's going to be guides out there, videos, pro players have this game figured out, and the longer it's out for, the more figured out it's going to be. But it's such a unique and fun experience to be part of figuring it out. When you go into a game and you're like, oh, how do I deal with Kree? Okay, well, here's how we deal with Kree this way. And then they find a different way to deal with what you dealt with. And then you're trying to find how to deal with it this way. And then you're continuously revamping your build order, you're revamping your unit composition, how you attack, how you play the game. And basically we're in a position now where it's not figured out. So you can play however you want to play and find ways to make it work and then get creative with it, how you get from point A to point B, which is an exciting place to be at. And if anyone's an RTS player, I think you're going to want to be a part of this space over the next year and a half, 2 years, because it's going to be a very fun opportunity to just get in there, do what you want to do, see what works, and be creative, rather than, like Albino said, coming into a game like StarCraft 2, where instead of being creative, you just load up the latest Cero match, copy what he does, and pray to God you can do it even 10% as good, and you're going to win all the way up to diamond, right? So it's a unique opportunity, and I'm excited for that aspect of it. And yeah, to piggyback off what you guys said, I think this game competitively is going to be fantastic. It's going to be a great esport. We're obviously invested and all in on it, which is exciting. But on the flip side of that, they have a lot of aspects for more of a casual audience. So right now in the game, we've had the chance to try the 3 versus AI, which is a really fun game mode. You actually have objectives on the map and you play against the computers in a very fun way. That's not just versus 3 computer bots that's trying to build up units. You've got your hero units, map objectives. You're trying to actually win out against an objective. They're going to have 3 versus 3 in the future. And something I'm very excited for is their incredibly powerful editor. That's something coming into the game that StarCraft 2 had an editor, but it wasn't as powerful as we would have hoped. And I think with what they're introducing into this game, it's going to be similar to the Warcraft 3 genre, where they literally created entire genres of games within the RTS or within the Warcraft 3 editor. And I'm excited to see what they come from or what they come through with that. So as resident Doraemon pros, are you guys looking forward to all of the custom games that are going to come out with all the creative people coming into the game?
Yes, and this is, I think, the most important thing for the game is the editor.
Mhm.
And it's really what made the original StarCraft so popular. The editor is the reason I got into StarCraft, because I played used map settings games in Brood War with my friends, and eventually I found about 1v1, and that's kind of how it all started. And I have friends who had the same experience playing custom games on Warcraft 3, and not only does it act as a bridge to these kind of esports players, but to get started, but it's also where a lot of games have spawned from. Like tower defense games came from these editors originally, in classic editors. Dota came
MOBAs.
from Warcraft 3.
Yep.
Yeah, full on MOBAs basically came from Warcraft 3.
Which
And
is
then you
wild.
have auto battlers came from
Yep.
the Dota editor. These are all community made games that turn into huge genres and industries.
Yep.
We might see the next big genre come out of the Stormgate editor. So I really can't wait. And as you said about Doraemon, I fucking love Doraemon. We play it all the time.
Yeah.
And I really hope it gets ported into Stormgate. And if it doesn't, then I'm going to port it myself.
Yeah,
We're gonna do it
I
ourselves.
I beg Theory at least once a week to port it over. Make
Yeah.
sure
Yeah.
we have Doraemon and
I heard
Ice
you can
Banelings.
monetize through their
Isn't
editor.
that crazy? Yeah, I
Yeah.
think that's
Yeah.
crazy.
I
So
think
you're gonna
that
have
should be public information now, because they told
it
it to
is.
the journalists. Yeah.
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 Okay.
I know that was a big push when they're talking about it too. Yeah, this editor one is going to be incredibly powerful. You'll be able to make your own games within the game, and then you'll be able to monetize it. So if you have the next MOBA, the next Dota, the next big tower defense, you'll have an opportunity to monetize it, which is such a unique opportunity. And I think you're going to have people coming in just to play these games, as well as get creative and see what they can build themselves, which is going to be, in the long run, just such an amazing thing for the ecosystem. Because as we've already seen too, they have I think aspects or plans in the future to have the ability to watch, like, say, Twitch streams through the client. Now this isn't guaranteed, I don't think, but they have what looks like the opportunity to do so. And if that's the case, you have people coming in to play in the custom games, and then also seeing streamers playing it or the live events being played. Even if just on the Steam homepage they have a little article about an upcoming esport event, they're going to funnel a lot more eyes towards what's going on through these third parties. And I think the entire ecosystem is going to be very very strong because of it. How about you, Albino? What are you looking forward to the most for Stormgate as a whole?
I love map editors,
Mhm.
because maps in StarCraft I always really liked the
Yeah.
new map rollouts. I think the ones right now are super unique. Kind of shit for Zerg, so I don't like them that much, but
Yeah.
yeah, I can't wait to have people monetize arcade games, because I will
Yeah.
buy every Doraemon skin. I will buy every Ice Banding skin. So if you get on it first, I
Yeah.
promise you'll make at least a couple dollars off me. So
That's good incentive. You heard it here
yeah,
first. You'll make at least $50
at,
at least.
okay,
Yeah.
make it like $3 a skin, please.
Yeah, but you're gonna have to buy 25 of them.
Yeah, okay,
Canadian.
that's true.
Yeah.
Shit.
Yeah, backpacking off that idea too, because I think that does open up a lot of opportunities for Frost Giant themselves to kind of allow the community to build the custom maps, right? And then let the community also vote on which maps
Yeah.
they want in map
Yeah.
pools, right? So it takes a lot of work off of them, because then they don't have to spend time creating competitive maps. They get to let the communities be creative, and then also let the community vote on which maps they want in the pool, which maps they think are good. And I think the entire ecosystem for that is going to be very, very strong.
I mean,
Um,
that's how all the StarCraft maps are made, is
yeah,
by the
exactly.
community. So if you have a little bit of incentive, like we're gonna get great maps, and that's
Yeah.
huge for the pro scene.
Absolutely, and they get so creative with it too. Like
Yeah,
I'm
no,
excited to see what they do with
these
because
people are great.
it's in StarCraft. All you have is bases and you have some landscaping, right? But even then, landscape of maps don't play as big of a role as they do in Stormgate, in my opinion. Especially with the introduction of creeps is huge. But then there's not as many flying units, so having things like destructible trees or rocks or high ground, low ground. I think that adds a lot of aspects to any sort of map editors that they're just going to have a field day with this. And the amount of creativity you'll be able to introduce is going to be phenomenal. And I can't wait to see it because I'm not
Yeah.
creative. So when people build this type of stuff, it blows my mind.
Yeah, it's really gonna be sick. And we've seen glimpses of the editor on YouTube. It already looks really approachable, really powerful, and
Absolutely.
we're gonna see some really cool stuff.
Absolutely. So, switching topics a little bit, everyone, Stormgate coming out early access July 30th. If you buy the packs, I highly recommend you do so. You're going to want to get your hands on this game as early as possible because we're not overhyping it. It is as fun as we say it is. We've all dedicated thousands of hours and games into this game, and we'll continue to do so. So, highly recommend doing so. But as an RTS fan as a whole, there's a lot of amazing games coming down the pipeline. I think it's fantastic for us, especially that it's been such a long time since there's been a good RTS game. I'd say the last one that is really mainstream was StarCraft 2, and that's been
For
out now
esports, anyways.
for esports. Yeah, I mean, Age of Empires is a great game. There's been a handful of other RTS games that have come out that have been great, but obviously we focus on the esports side of things. And it seems like it's been a long time since we've had a competitive RTS game, and now we have several where it's going to be hard to choose which ones to play at all times because we have Stormgate, which obviously from this podcast and our team we're very much committed to and loving, but you also have things like Uncapped Games' newly released title, Battle Aces. You have Zero Space coming out. You have Immortal Gates of Pyre, and you also have Age of Empires, Age of Mythology coming out with a brand new game as well. So it seems like we've gone from 0 to 100 really quick on the RTS genres of what's going to be available. So for us specifically, it's amazing because we're an esports organization that's going to be completely all in and founded off the back of RTS games. But it also gives us the opportunity to onboard a lot of fans that haven't really been, kind of indicted into the space, right? Because StarCraft 2, it was very, very, very popular when it first came out, and it's kind of maintained a level of popularity where it's survived for the past 15 years, which is incredible, but it hasn't really brought on a whole lot of new eyes or players into the fan base. So I think with all of these new types of games coming out, you're going to find an RTS that fits everyone's playstyle and enjoyment level. And I think because of the fandom for RTS, it's just going to grow the space as a whole. Just like Valorant and Call of Duty, or Valorant and Counter Strike might have some crossover, or Dota and League of Legends, right? I bet you a lot of League of Legends players watch the international, just like a lot of Dota players probably watch the World Championship. So moving forward onto the next title we're excited for is obviously from Uncapped Games, which is Battle Aces. They just launched their official game name and some first look at the game. All of us were very fortunate to get into the very private closed alpha, and we all played that game and had a great time with that. So, what's your guys' opinion on that game coming forward? I'll start with you, Derek.
Battle Aces.
Battle Aces.
Yeah, I for some reason we've been playing this game for a while, but we didn't know the title even though we'd been playing it. They kept it a secret from us. So like the link in my brain between Battle Aces and the game isn't fully like connected yet.
Yeah.
But so a few months ago we played the alpha. We were shout out to Uncapped Games for letting Team Aftermath play it. It was a phenomenal experience. I personally have the second most games logged in that game. So I've played it a lot. And I really enjoyed it. It's the biggest comparison I think is like Pokemon Unite compared to Dota. It's kind of like that compared to StarCraft. I don't know if you guys played Pokemon Unite, but I played a ton of that too and really enjoyed it. But it's a simplified RTS, 10-minute max game length. There's no sort of building placement. And they basically take out a lot of the complex macro mechanics of RTS and focus solely on the micro and army movements, and basically unit making.
Yeah.
And the coolest thing I think that strays away from these Blizzard style RTSs with factions is that you have a, I don't know if they use the term deck. Was it deck?
It is deck. Yeah.
Yeah, where you choose 8 units, and you get to choose 2 tier 1 units, and then you get to choose tier 2 and 3 units. You have to choose at least 1 tier 2 air, 1 tier 2 ground, and then you can choose 1 to 2 more tier 2 or tier 3 grounds and airs. And when you press the expand button, you instantly expand. When you press the tech button, it takes a little bit to tech, but everything just instantly happens when you press the hotkey. You don't have to select a worker. You don't have to place the expansion. Everything is just done automatically. You just get to focus on the micro and the flanking and the harassing. They tried to capture all the most exciting moments of RTS and make that the sole focus of this game.
Yeah. Yeah, very fast pace. You jump into that game and it is action from the get-go. And like you said, it does take away from the macro aspect. You do not have to worry about your economy. It's pretty well automated. You have to know when to expand kind of thing, but once you decide to do so, it sets it all up for you. Same with the tech. The very unique thing that I think coming out of this game is the decks, and that's where a lot of the in-depth strategy is going to come from. Obviously, the micromanagement is going to be huge, but also being able to put together very strong decks and also counter other decks is going to be very interesting to see how it's played at the pro level, how much metagaming is going to go on, how much strategy goes into that. And it gives a lot of room for expansion into the future. For a game like, say, Stormgate, if they want to add units into the game, it's a very long process because they have to make sure it fits the dynamic of the game, it's balanced properly, it's received well. But in a game like Uncapped Games, because you have this deck system where you kind of interchange units every game almost, it makes it a bit easier for them just to be like, hey, cool, like let's add this unit in. And because everybody has access to it, they can kind of play around the balancing in that sort of aspect, which is really cool. How about you, Albino? What was your initial opinion of the game?
I am very, very excited for Battle Aces because that is the game you play with your friends that have never played an RTS before.
Yep,
It is
absolutely.
super easy to introduce,
Yep.
easy to teach. I think they're gonna focus quite a bit on 2v2s. I don't know
Yep.
about 3v3s, but team games I could teach someone that's never touched a computer to play that game. It's
Yeah.
very intuitive, and what I really like about StarCraft that this game has is it's super fast paced. You
Yep.
can lose if you're not looking at your army, you can lose it. So being mechanically good is still very rewarding in this game.
Absolutely.
But at a top level too, just because it's like simple macro, it is 100% mind games. You're just playing
Right.
mind games because you're both mechanically good, of course. You're both pro RTS players, but now it's like you don't have to worry about basic mechanics. So it's all the mind games, and I love that
Yeah.
kind of rock paper scissors game with someone you've played 50 games against and now you're playing them in a tournament. Like everything goes out the window and you're just trying to get a slight edge on them. And I
Yeah.
absolutely love that.
Yeah, I think it's gonna be really crazy to watch as an esport as well, because we had the chance to watch Tasteless and Artosis do a cast on the game, and that was one of their first opportunities playing the game as well. So it was cool to see them try and articulate what was going on in the game, because it is very, very fast paced, and it's more based around the decks themselves. So it's gonna be wild to watch this game kind of come to fruition, because I think there's a lot of opportunity for just wild things to be happening. That's going to be very hard to encapsulate in a normal esports cast. But like Albino said too, I think it's going to be a great introduction to RTS. Like if you can get into this game, kind of get this core army fighting mechanics down, and you're interested in this side of things, maybe that'll introduce them into a Frost Giant game, which is Stormgate, or into Zero Space or Age of Empires if they haven't played that before. So I think this is going to be a great introduction game, and I think the skill ceiling is actually unlimited, just because there's so much that you can do to change things up. Because like Albino said, if it's just micro versus micro, it comes down to now the mind games of things. You also your deck building and trying to perfect that and try to utilize different strategies and just see where that goes. Because you only have 10 minutes too. You don't have 35 minutes to try and build up a crazy economy and do some really weird tech switch and catch them off guard. Like it's constant fighting, constantly go, 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 go. And then eventually after 10 minutes, whoever has the higher score is just declared the winner. So it's going to be a really interesting dynamic to see how that game is received on launch and how people are able to pick it up. I'm excited for it. Like I said, it's a very good introduction to the RTS genre as a whole, which I think the genre needs more new eyes, because everyone coming into Stormgate seems to be old heads like ourselves, or the very few younger generation like Albino. But you're going to see a lot of people in their late 20s, early 30s that are getting into Stormgate, and I'm really hoping that, one, it being a new game brings in more players, and two, other games like Battle Aces or Zero Space can bring in an even larger dynamic audience. So with
Very
that
well
said,
said.
yeah, with that said, we'll come back to Battle Aces and kind of talk about esports RTS as a whole. But what is your guys' opinion on Zero Space? Because that's another game that's in development by a lot of high level RTS players that are really respected in the community, and it's not getting the same sort of limelight, at least for us personally, because we haven't played it as much. But I know, Derek, you played a lot of games of it and did thoroughly enjoy it. So I'll cast this one to you. What's your opinion going forward with Zero Space?
Yeah, so they just had another alpha phase, a probably a month or two ago now, 2 months ago or so.
Yeah.
But yeah, I played quite a bit in it. They did another $10,000 tournament. I think Luciferon won it.
Mm. Sounds
They
about right.
introduced the newest. I'm forgetting the terminology, but in that game, there's what do they call them? There's factions, and then there's
Sub,
Mercenaries.
like,
mercenaries. Is that what they're called?
I
yeah,
think they're called mercenaries.
yeah.
Yeah. So they introduced the um was the Rondi, which at first they seemed insanely busted. They just by having the Rondi selected, you like passively get faster upgrades and a talent for a extra starting worker
Oh,
for the harder to get resource. So I thought that was a really cool mechanic. It paired really well with Legion, which is the faction I played,
mm.
and I really like to see. I really like the idea of pairing up a faction with a mercenary group. We talked about it in one of our earlier episodes, kind of theory crafting what it would mean. But now that we've actually played it and spent a lot of time laddering, it really is turning out to be a really cool idea.
Do you think that game's gonna be very difficult to balance in the long run from like an esports side of thing?
I think it'll be difficult to balance just because there's so many abilities, heroes, and synergies between matchups in that game.
Yeah.
But then on the other side, they could take the Dota approach where if everything is OP, then nothing is OP. And I think
True.
that's the direction they're kind of going.
I think that makes the game a bit more fun too. I think if you let
Yeah.
everything be a bit OP, then it's like, okay, cool. I have all these powerful units. Instead of making everything wet noodles, it's like, okay, cool. I can, if I have this combination, I'm super strong, and then my opponent has a different combination that is also super strong. Now we're kind of balanced out, that we're both
Yeah.
strong as fuck. So I do like that approach more, and I do think that's probably the easier approach, because trying to perfectly tune that, we've already seen within like StarCraft 2, right? That is significantly less to balance in a scope sort of thing. That can be incredibly hard to get right. So with the more you include, the harder it gets. But like you said, if you just make everything broken and crazy and strong, then everyone's going to have more fun and just jump into a ladder game and destroy your opponent. Abana, have you had much chance to play Zero Space?
I did play Zero Space, not the recent beta phase or alpha phase,
Mm,
but the one before that. So
okay.
in these games, I think deep in my heart, I'm a Terran player because I like to be busy, always attacking. But I have this brutal Zergling crutch where if I start losing a game, I'll just make Zerglings and spam Zergling run-bys until I find big damage. So I
Yeah.
picked Grell
Mhm.
because they have the Zergling equivalent, and I personally never really liked the early game. Like Stormgate for me is fun because sometimes you give up creep camps to go like CC first or something. Sometimes you want to be very aggressive, not make your natural very fast to fight over all the camps. Sometimes you want to fight over the gas camps, not the mineral camps.
Yeah.
But in Zero Space, you kind of just run your heroes at each other, and then you're like, oh shit,
Right.
his counter's mine. So you TP it home, and then you run it around the map to the other camp. I don't know. It doesn't really interest me, but I really like the look of it, and it depends what they want to do. If they want to be like more competitive or more just fun to play with either your homies or just have it look good.
Yeah.
But I think more than 3 factions is going to be impossible to balance. I mean, it's
Right.
brutal in StarCraft to balance 3 factions, and it's been out
They're
for
gonna have
15
5.
years. They're
Yeah.
gonna have 5, and then all the
Wow.
mercenaries on top of it.
And the spells and and
It's
the
Yeah.
gonna be
heroes
crazy.
too. The heroes are gonna be crazy. Yeah, I
If
think the
But on
only
the
approach.
other
Yeah.
side, like you have a character that could like nuke every 12 seconds. So
Yeah,
it's like, oh,
like,
even
come
if
on.
my race is underpowered, if I land one of these 5 nukes, like, oh,
Yeah.
I'm good.
Yeah, that's we get into that point too. Like if everything's overpowered, nothing is. So I
Yeah,
think you kind of have
Yeah.
to
I
lean into the
I
power.
like that approach. I hope they do it.
Yeah.
Basically, nerf nothing and just buff everything. Like, just
Yes, I
never
love
nerf.
that.
Like, if you're thinking about a nerf, fire that guy and get an intern in that knows what we're
Yeah,
looking
just
for.
ban that word from the entire studio.
Yeah.
We don't talk about nerfing. We make everything more powerful.
Just like some Diablo 3. Shit's doing 7 billion damage in 3 years.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah. It
that's
just keeps going up and up and
yeah.
up until the game's unplayable because you one shot everything and it's just like a cesspool of just
No,
run
because
bys
then
and
you
one shots.
no, because then you buff the HP of everything. You're already
True.
fired. You're already fired. You
You're
just
right. I would be fired. Shit.
you didn't
Why I
last
own an
very
esports
long.
Organization. Yeah, you're right. My bad. I'm new to this. Okay, I just play the
But
games.
if they do that route, make everything good, I think it'll be fun viewing. I won't
Yeah.
play it much because I want to focus on Stormgate and Battle Aces, but
Yeah.
I'll watch every game. So yeah.
Yeah, I think so too. I think it's going to be what I'm hoping for. Like I said, is that all these games bring a different dynamic to the esports or the RTS genre, and they kind of share enough similarities where people that enjoy Zero Space will also go and watch Stormgate or watch Battle Aces because of what the games are at their core, which is an RTS, which is what we hope for, because obviously we're RTS players and we're part of an organization, and we just hope for the best for this space. So it's really exciting to see how many games are coming up. It seems like a full resurgence of the RTS genre all at the same time. It's not like it's been a trickle effect. It's been like nothing and then just skyrocketing with all these different titles coming out that are super exciting and being made by very high level developers, which is also exciting because you know they're going to make a good product. You know that they're going to do what's necessary to make a good game for the consumer, which is all in all going to be great for the landscape of esports as a whole. And I think people are just going to thoroughly enjoy their experience as an RTS player. So if you're watching this, you've never played an RTS game, I highly recommend doing so. Zero Space, or like I said, Stormgate is coming out like a month and a half until you can get your hands on that game. Battle Aces, I don't know when that's available, but hopefully soon. Zero Space, same thing. A lot of games coming up. If you want something to tide you over until then, Stormgate or StarCraft is free to play. But I would highly recommend waiting for a game like Stormgate because, disclaimer, we are bigger fans of Stormgate than we are StarCraft. We don't hate StarCraft, we love StarCraft, but there's a new sheriff in town.
Yeah, personally, it's just my favorite game right now. But I am looking forward to Battle Aces. Like you mentioned earlier, Carmi, how it may be like a bridge. These games are different enough where they'll coexist. They're gonna definitely attract very different player bases.
Absolutely.
And I could definitely see someone that gets into Battle Aces and likes it. Like maybe I really like RTS. Maybe I want to do a game like Stormgate where I have to worry about buildings and placement also, like a little bit more complex. And then if someone really likes Stormgate, like maybe I try Zero Space where I have to read an encyclopedia of abilities. Like I'm that hardcore. Like these games I think will kind of coexist and bridge to each other. I think it's gonna be sick. And we have like FPS games that are popular, like Counter-Strike, Apex, Fortnite. These games kind of coexist, Valorant. And they're growing because of each other. Like people play Counter-Strike because they play Valorant, etc. So I'm not gonna lie, I am disappointed in the RTS community how they're trying to pin these games up against each other. And I beg you guys, please, let's grow up a little bit. Let's be like the other gaming genres. Albino and I come from competitive Dota, and we don't we tease League, but we don't shit on it, right?
Right. You don't like pray for its downfall, because I feel like a lot of people are praying for the downfall of other games. Like, and I think that comes back to a lot of the StarCraft fans being old heads, where they've been a fan of the game for so long, they don't want that to be threatened, which I totally understand. We, you know, we all love StarCraft, right? Like we've had good careers in StarCraft, and we're sad to see the game in its current space, right? We'd love to see it be around forever, right? But unfortunately, Blizzard, the developer, doesn't care about that game anymore, which is very unfortunate. So we have an opportunity to support other games. And like Derek said too, all of these games are going to coexist within each other very well. I think they're all so different in their own right that they're going to be their own entity. It's not like I don't see like a Stormgate and a Battle Aces really competing with each other just because they're
Yeah.
just so wildly different that they can easily coexist. There's not going to be one game that is just the RTS. It's going to be like, okay, this is like the traditional RTS. This is the fast action RTS. This is would you like the encyclopedia RTS, and then you have like Age of Empires, right? That's a really long term. Like those are long games, right? So it's a bit more of a slow paced RTS, right? So you're going to have all these RTS games coming up that all have their own niche that are different from each other, that they're all going to coexist beautifully. And I'm excited to see what that looks like because we know what it looks like when StarCraft was at the top. It's going to be cool to see what it looks like when we have all 4 of these games at the top.
Yeah, and
It's
that
a
I
good
think
time to
that's
be
the
RTS.
coolest thing. Like, oh, I feel like playing StarCraft today.
Yep.
I feel like playing Stormgate today. I feel like playing Battle Aces, Zero Space. I mean, we have options now. We haven't
Absolutely.
really had this in a while since like the StarCraft 2, Warcraft 3, Brood War days. So
Yeah,
it's
exactly.
really an exciting time.
No, I completely agree. Exciting time. So we're gonna start getting pretty close to closing this up here because we don't want to talk too much about the game because we have so many more of these episodes coming down the pipeline. Now that NDAs are kind of getting lifted and there's going to be more things on the horizon, you should start to expect seeing a lot more of these podcasts. They've been sporadic in the past only because unfortunately we respect the NDAs very, very thoroughly and we do not want to discuss things that we cannot or try to spoil anything. And sometimes when you're rambling on, it's easy to do so. So with that being said, we are going to be coming in full force, especially after the early access of Stormgate. Expect to see these episodes every week with varying guests. We appreciate Albino coming on today. Before we head off today, guys, what's your final closing opinions, and also where can everybody follow you? Starting with Albino.
Okay, I'll just bring up my Twitter here.
There you
So
go.
I have it here. I am very excited about the next year or two that's coming up. I can't
Yep.
wait to stream Stormgate, stream Battle Aces over at Albino SG on Twitch, and I'm AME Albino on Twitter. So please go follow me there.
You'll be
I
streaming day one, all right? Of
day
early
one,
access.
day
Yep.
one of both games. If I can
Day one,
stream.
brother.
Day one, brother. I will be
Yeah,
there streaming. I can't wait.
absolutely.
I can't wait to start competing and playing in tournaments. That's gonna be so much fun. I can't wait to meet so many people in the RTS community. You guys
Yep.
are hilarious. Sometimes not hilarious. Sometimes so not hilarious. It's funny. But I love you all equally.
Yep.
You're all my favorite. Don't tell anyone else, please.
That's good to hear. How about yourself there, Derek?
Awesome. Cool. So Albino, you gonna do 2 versus 2 with me in these games?
Oh, 100%. That's gonna be the best. Hopefully, there's 3v3. We get we get the big boy in there too.
Yeah.
Fighting in there.
Yeah, I'm just gonna casually slip in that me and Albino are the official first 2 versus 2 champions in Stormgate.
You heard it
Yeah.
here first.
Yep. We won the 2 versus 2 tournament last phase in Frigate. We played Infernal's Vanguard. It was awesome. But yeah, I really look forward to Stormgate and Battle Aces. You'll catch me streaming them a lot. Make sure to follow me at twitch.tv/theory and then on Twitter, TheorySC2. And I do want to mention a few shout outs before we go, Carmi, and we could talk about these a little more if you want. But Aftermath has recently picked up our newest member, our first European player, Snoxtar. So definitely check out Snoxtar. He's StarCraft 2 professional. He's gonna be playing professional Stormgate and Battle Aces as well for Aftermath.
Incredible player. Smart dude. Great mentality. We like him a lot. We actually weren't going to pick up anyone in the last area of testing. We've been really trying to tread the waters and make very conscious decisions with our recruiting. But in the last phase of playtesting, Snoxstar has really stood out to us. He had great mentality going into each game. He was smart figuring the game out, played incredibly well. He's just a very talented, very nice guy. We know that he's going to be a superstar and a big force to be he's a force to reckon with when Stormgate does come out. So that was a great pickup for us. We're excited to have him.
For sure. And definitely check him out on Twitter at Snoxstar1, the number 1. And then I also want to mention that definitely keep an eye out on various gaming outlets for articles regarding the release of the third race. Albino, myself, and a few other members of the community, we had the opportunity to share the Celestials with the press. So the first article came out today, which shouts out me and Parting a lot from PC Gamer. So thanks a bunch to Frost Giant for the opportunity. Thanks Carmi for basically connecting us to this opportunity, and shout out to all the outlets. Definitely Fraser Brown from PC Gamer for putting out the first article. Really great opportunity for Aftermath, Stormgate, and I really look forward to these games. Third Faction, man, the future is crazy.
Absolutely. Yeah, to touch on that, yeah, we did have the chance to help some media outlets get into Stormgate. We had the chance to kind of coach them along, give them some of our opinions on the game, and just make sure that they had an overall great experience, which, from my understanding, they all did. Everyone had nothing but great things to say about the game. So, yeah, once again, we appreciate Stormgate for that opportunity. We got some more things in the works with them as well that we're really excited to work on. And, yeah, it's going to be a great year of RTS. I can't wait for it. We're going all in.
Oh, and I forgot to mention,
Yeah.
I actually did a lot of in-person press coaching yesterday,
Yeah.
or two days ago. Shout out to Gerald from Frost Giant. He drove me to the convention. He picked me up after the airport, took me to the convention. We set up booths, coached a bunch of press. Fantastic opportunity. Gerald is absolutely amazing.
We love Gerald. Gerald's the best. We love talking to him. Such a great dude.
Yeah. He's been so great to the whole Stormgate community. It's Sunday. He's been working all day. He's still working right now with the whole Celestials release. Standout character.
Absolutely. Shout out Gerald. We appreciate your hard work.
We love
Shout
you,
out to the
Gerald.
entire Frost Giant team. I know everyone at Frost Giant's hard at work right now to deliver an amazing game. We're excited for it. We can't wait for early access and what they have for the future of us. With that said, Aftermath is doing big things within all these games as well. We have a lot of big things down the pipeline that we can't wait to show you guys. We can't talk about at the moment, but just expect to see us everywhere you possibly can. We will be there. And yeah, if you guys want to follow us, we are AME socials pretty much everywhere. And we'll be doing a lot of big things into the future. And I'm sure you'll be hearing more of us as all these things kind of progress. So thanks everybody for tuning into this episode, whatever. I can't remember what number this is, probably 7 or 8 or 6 or getting up there. We're chugging along slowly but surely. But appreciate you guys watching. I want to thank Theory and Albino for taking the time today to talk. And yeah, we're really excited for the RTS, as you can tell. And if you haven't yet, go get set up. Whatever you have to do to play these games, you go do it, because it's gonna be worth it. All right, everyone, go play right now. All right. Thanks everybody. Have a great day, and we'll see you in the next one. Bye.